All right. Welcome, everybody, to the BeatCancer.Org weekly call. The date is January the 16th of 2025. Everyone is welcome to get their cameras turned on. We do ask that you stay muted unless you are speaking. We have a quick intro video. We hope you liked our waiting video that our wonderful content creators have made for us. So we'll roll the introduction and we will officially get started.
Hello, and welcome to the Beat Cancer Answer, brought to you by BeatCancer.Org, the Center for Advancement in Cancer Education. We believe that 90% of all cancers could be eliminated through environmental and lifestyle choices alone, and science agrees. Unfortunately, most people don't know it. So we provide the education that can help you prevent, cope with, and beat cancer through diet, lifestyle, and other immune-boosting approaches. In every video, we will feature an expert who can teach us how to become part of that 90% who could prevent getting diagnosed with cancer. But if you already have cancer, we have empowering information for you too. Over the past 40+ years, our nonprofit counseling service has helped thousands of cancer patients get back into the driver's seat when it comes to their personal journey of healing cancer and preventing future recurrence. If we helped you learn just one thing today about how to prevent, cope with, or beat cancer, then we have succeeded in our mission. Please remember to like, subscribe, and comment. We appreciate all of your feedback and love your suggestions. Your positive ratings help us to get discovered so we can help save more lives. Thank you again for joining us, and best wishes for good health from all of us at BeatCancer.Org.
All right. I'm getting some reports that the sound wasn't so good on that video. Can someone give me a thumbs up or okay, I'm seeing some comments there. Did it go up towards the end of the video?
No,
No? Interesting.
no. Yeah, I was trying to get in touch with you, but it's better than starting it over.
Got it. Yeah, Zoom is a funny thing. I had all the same settings as last week, and yet it's a little different, but um welcome everybody, all the same. Yeah, some quick housekeeping before we get off to it. Nothing that's said on this call is intended to be taken as medical advice. While we can talk about general ideas and concepts, this isn't a call to specifically talk about, protocols for a person's circumstances, or specific, medical advice type things. We have a variety of coaches on with us today, as well as some guests. So that said, I'll toss it over to Carl if there's any other housekeeping he wants to add in, and then we'll get to it.
Nope, that's good. I think we said it all in the intro video or the waiting room video is just keep yourself muted unless you want to talk. You could raise your hand or chime in. We try to keep the side conversations to a minimum so that everybody gets a chance. I'm sure we have some pre-arranged questions from our frequently asked questions to get to, but first I would like to welcome Gretchen Wetland. My goodness, so good to see your face. Gretchen has been we can't hear you, sweetie. You're on mute. Hey,
Thank you. I'm not real used to this, but I've been sick since the 20th of December, so I'm still sick, but I'm using every trick in the book
yeah,
and
well, good.
getting better, and it needed to happen. I needed an intervention.
Yeah, you needed to slow down. That's what it was.
Thank you. I'm glad to finally be here after waiting for several years.
Yeah, Gretchen has been a supporter and a fan and a coach and forever and ever. She's we love her. Thank you so much for
Was
everything.
with Susan Silverstein as a volunteer at her center in the 90s and was privileged to be part of the board. And I can't think of a better organization. Thank you very much for having me.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
That's awesome. That's stuff I didn't even know.
Awesome. It's always good to see an old friend of the organization. Thank you very much for being here, Gretchen.
Thank you.
Um, Amazing.
Is Sophia a guest or a coach?
Sophia, the floor is yours. We welcome you to unmute yourself, come on camera if you are comfortable doing so, and let us know what brings you out tonight. If you have any questions we could help you with, or anything else on your mind. A prompt.
Yep. Sometimes people don't know they're on mute.
Yeah, that's all right. I just clicked the button that should have given a pop-up on our screen saying that she's welcome to unmute. That's all right. If you do
Yep.
find the unmute button later in the call, you're welcome to use it, and we'd love to hear from you and see what brings you out tonight. That said, everyone
You're
else,
just shy, you can always just use the chat and we'll get to your question.
of course, of course. That said, everyone else here is a coach. So
Hey, we
we'll
got a
have a very information dense call tonight. So with that said, Ethan, my friend, would you like to read out some questions to the group?
Absolutely. Which
All
one would
right.
you want first?
the one was next.
Yeah,
All right.
Last one was more topical, you think?
there are some interesting ones about milk. I don't know if we want to do those or.
Yeah, I was thinking about skipping that one.
All right, we'll skip
And if
those for now.
we run the milk dry, we can go back to the other one.
All right, sounds good.
All right.
Milk
So
is
first
dry.
question here. Should people drink raw milk? If so, how can people find a reputable seller? And maybe give a small explanation about what raw milk does or a difference between raw milk and pasteurized milk.
All right, so now with these questions, the floor is open for any of our coaches to share their thoughts on that topic, whatever they might be. We welcome your thoughts.
Looks like Sophia's mic is off now.
Oh, awesome.
Sophia, are you there? Oh, well, she's not on mute, but
Got it.
not talking. Hey, Bobby.
So sorry for being late.
Nope, quite all right. The question is about raw milk. Should you drink it? What's the difference between raw milk and pasteurized milk? Sure, we have some coaches with opinions about milk for sure.
Well, I'm a raw milk drinker. So I'm not an expert,
Perfect.
but I definitely am pro raw milk or having the choice of, if you want to have raw milk or pasteurized milk. But it has all the enzymes that are in there, and the enzymes help with our digestion. And that's all, killed when it is pasteurized. And we've been having raw milk for, I'd say we're on 4 or 5 years now. We've never been sick. No one's ever been sick from it. The farmer we go to is about 15 minutes away. She started out with 7 cows, and now I think she's about to 20.
Wow.
And, she really explained to us the whole process she goes through. We actually got up early one morning and the whole family went down there and we helped her milk the cows. So we had that great experience. But the thing with industrial cows is they are milked really more than their body is meant to be milked. So you're really draining your poor cow. And then they leave the things that they put on the udder, they pretty much just leave them there. So that's where you're getting a lot of the infections because they're over milked. And so, yeah, it's kind of gross to think about what is ending up in your milk because that's where all the infection is happening is on the udder. So that's why there's so much antibiotics that are given to the cows to stop the infections. So when cows are taken care of well and they're milked I think it's once or twice a day, like they're meant to be. You get healthy milk. You have healthy, happy cows. Our cows graze only on grass. So it has a lot of the nutrients is in there. I can digest it. I can't digest store-bought milk very well. So I am all for it. I think it's wonderful, and I think I know there's more to it, but that's just our experience. And I just know that pasteurization kills all the good stuff in the milk. So you're left with just this what we know as milk. But yeah, so that's my thoughts.
Well, we should save this recording for your farmer so they can put it up on their as an advertisement. You're awesome. Yeah,
Awesome.
I do know that in industrial cow milking, they keep the cows in a perpetual pregnancy. That can't be good. That can't be good for the cow. And we did nearly the same thing. We don't have raw milk for cows around us, but we had my son and I worked on a farm nearby. He was working there. I was just volunteering. But it was a goat farm, and they had goat milk that they sold as raw goat milk. And she went through all the great things about it and how the Olympic team is using raw goat milk and all kinds of things like that. So it's very interesting to be
Right.
part of that farming experience.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see how modern, quote, solutions have altered what once was and how that's really played out for the health and well-being of consumers. A lot of the detriments that get attributed to milk in certain circles and with certain studies, etc., are accounting for pasteurized milk because, of course, in most places, that's what's commercially available or only available. Um, but the pasteurization process is something that's very unknown to most consumers and what it even is, right? So pasteurization, very simply, is a superheating of whatever that may be. Again, this is a very simplistic explanation, but it's a superheating of whatever that may be. And when we understand that certain compounds change chemically, molecularly, from a certain heat level, well, then our end result is different than what we started out with. So the concept is, oh, we're going to superheat this thing to kill the bad bacteria. But what about the good bacteria, right? There's certain probiotics, enzymes, etc., in things like milk that are shown to be very beneficial. But this pasteurization is applicable to lots of different things. In the realm of drinks, a fruit juice that's gone through a pasteurization process isn't the same as a fresh squeezed juice. That's been chemically altered and changed. And now it's in a different way than nature has designed it to be. And our bodies are still expecting to be consuming something as nature designed it. And so there's a lot of craziness that can happen when we're consuming, quote, natural things, but in an unnatural state. A lot of different things can be destroyed, not just the enzymes and bacteria, but there's a lot of different alterations that happen to things when we put them through extreme heat. So it's certainly something to look into. Obviously, the benefits of pasteurization are largely upon the grocery store when they can keep things on their shelves for a lot longer and don't have to cycle through inventory. It's a result of the modern industrial age and the commercial age, but it doesn't necessarily mean that our health is, all the same with the pasteurization process.
And I've heard from a lot of people, like what Christina was saying, that they can't take regular milk. Like they're lactose intolerant, whatever it is, but then they have raw milk, no problems.
Yeah, it's very fascinating that is accounted for in a lot of individuals. And I know we even have one on this call, and I welcome him to share his experience in a moment. But yeah, a lot of people who are, quote, lactose intolerant upon trying raw milk, not only are able to consume it very safely and healthily, but then that repairs their gut biome, they find, for the consumption of other things that would normally cause distress. But I saw a hand from Jane, and then we'll head over to Ethan. For those of us who joined as this conversation was already playing out, the topic is raw milk and the possible benefits, the possible differences, the pasteurization process overall, and what we think of raw milk consumption. So that is the topic at hand. I saw a hand from Jane. Oh, someone said Kathy. Okay, cool.
Maybe.
We'll get to Jane and then over to Kathy and then to Ethan. Oh, you're muted. I got you.
Whether it's raw, is that better?
That's better.
Thank you. Whether it's raw milk or pasteurized, I was under the theory that milk in itself, because it's from a cat, a cow, and has estrogen in it, could be detrimental for cancer because of the estrogen level.
That brings up a very fascinating point.
Casein too. I've heard casein.
Yeah.
So I'm sure we have some coaches that'll chime in on that. Good point.
Yeah, Dr. Bazana is pretty strong about non-dairy for that one of those reasons.
Absolutely. And so that's why it brings up a very important topic that when someone's body is experiencing cancer, there can be certain differences, sometimes maybe that are different from something that a person without cancer in the moment would do.
General good health, right?
What's that?
General good health is
Yeah.
different if
Right.
if you're battling cancer.
But let's explore it. So coaches, especially the coaches that are into raw milk, what are some of our thoughts on that? And if you're not familiar with that specific mechanism, that is okay. But if you are, I'd love to know what your thoughts are.
So over to Kathy.
Thanks. I grew up on a family-owned and run dairy farm it was in our family for generations. So I grew up on raw milk. I mean, basically straight from the cow. We got lucky it was cold, but we did our own butchering and we were all very self-sufficient. We knew, our cows were grass-fed and all that. As an adult who's dealing with several autoimmune diseases, I've been dairy-free for actually many years now because it was raising my inflammation. So I have to be really careful. And I know when my son was going through his cancer journey, same thing. They said immediately stop all dairy, even the good stuff. So I know I've heard both. And I really think it comes down to like, there's certainly ground rules when it comes to diet with fighting cancer or any type of disease, but I also think it's really a lot of what's your body telling you, because it's not one size fits all, really.
Sure.
So specifically speaking, but shout out to the dairy farmers.
Sure.
Yes. Yeah, when I have
Gretchen might have something to say too if she would like to get on about it. Did she? Oh, there she is. Okay. You're on mute. You're on mute. There you go. Perfect.
I was just going to add, I put a couple of questions in the chat that you can deal with later if you desire, but I was just going to add that I was with Susan Silberstein many times at her lectures, and she always made the point that we are the only species that continue to drink milk past infancy. And with all of the corruption in the food industry, my husband growing up in the milk industry, his father was hired by the governor of New Jersey when refrigeration came into being for the milk industry. And he was a central player between all of the people in the industry, the farmers, the handlers, the delivery men, the regulators, the processors, and when he retired in the early 90s, my husband took over running that business, and shortly after my father-in-law retired, they deregulated milk because the hormones added to the cows' diets did away with the spring flush, which was always a reason they needed price controls. So my question was, I haven't followed the industry, but I'm wondering how much deregulation occurred, whether it was just price controls or if other quality controls may have been suspended. So just a question to pause. And my husband's no longer with me, and I drink almond milk and heavy cream. That's all.
Is it almond
Thank you.
heavy cream or or dairy heavy
No,
cream?
standard heavy
Got
cream for the
it.
for the fat. I did keto during COVID and wanted the fat.
Nice. Wonderful. Yeah, thank you for sharing.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, are we gonna go to Ethan next or Bobby next? She's got her hand. I think Ethan's got
No, go ahead, go ahead.
Okay. Yep, Bobby.
Oh, me? Oh, okay. Well, I remember having milk delivered at our house in glass bottles.
Yes, yes.
And I mean, and it was so delicious. It was from the cows, just like, I'm jealous for you, the people that are able to still get that. So I am partnered with a PhD naturopath who is also a medical doctor. And he told me, and I can't give you all the scientists, the information about it because I'm going to research milk now. But he said, do not get the milk, the regular milk. Don't get the 1%, the 2%, the skim milk. Do not do, what do they have out there? Like oat milk now. No telling what they're going to have out next. And do not do the almond milk. I do take almonds, organic almonds. I soak them, and the next morning I get up and I just eat. I have real almond milk. I mean, it's very easy to do. I mean, and I can't tell you why he said that, but he said, I'm telling you, do not drink any of that or buy any of that milk that's in the stores now. And of course, I try not to buy anything that's in plastic. That's another thing.
But I can tell you a little bit about the oat milk and the almond milk in the stores. That the oat milk, of course, it's just loaded with glyphosate.
So
yes, yeah, it's just it's just the way they industrial grow. But the almond milk, from what I understand, is all the scrap. It's basically, all those nice almonds you get in a bag of almonds or whatever. Well, all the scrappy, ugly ones, they're all the ones that get mashed up and made into milk. So they figured out how to get rid of their trash and feed it to you.
Yeah, I think no matter which direction you're going, the getting it as fresh as possible is ideal. They do have, for those who want to, make their own plant milks, whatever you're making them out of, they do have specialty blenders that are designed to do that. I used to have I probably still have it somewhere. I don't use it though. It's called an almond cow, and that's just one brand that specifically takes nuts and whatever and makes the milk of it. I don't use it anymore, but it did make good milk, better than the store-bought stuff when I was using that. You could put whatever you want in there. It was pretty cool. But over to Maya.
Okay. When I started it, when I was diagnosed second time with cancer and I wanted to do all natural, so I came across a Budwig diet. I don't know if you heard about it or not. Budwig diet is based basically on cottage cheese and flax seeds and flax oil. So I would go to a farm, local farm, grab my glass jar, and I would go there and they would literally have this, like you could see it through the glass, like they had this machines that hooked up to the cow and it would just straight go to the bottle. So I would bring it home, I would make my own cottage cheese and use it. But then I decided to do some research on milk and, effect on estrogen. Yes, it does contain some very low level of estrogen. So I decided to stop using that. I used it for like a couple of months and I decided to stop completely stopped using dairy, what I realized, like when I use dairy occasionally, it would bring some hot flashes back. So that makes me to realize that it does affect the hormones. Okay, so that's based on my experience. But what I learned is like when they start giving cows hormones back in like 50s, 60s, within 10 years, the case of breast cancer spiked by 35%. So, and that should say something about it, like whether we have to consume. I would say probably, I don't know, whether it's pasteurized or raw. I would go, of course, with raw, because if that, I have this feeling like if that would have not benefited people, they would have not prohibited. Anything in raw form probably works somehow, like a glyphosate. They sell easily at the store glyphosate, like alcohol at the store, all this toxin, they're okay to sell, but when it comes to raw milk, it's bad now. So we just have to be, everyone is so by individual. We just have to know what fits our body and what we need to consume. Once in a blue moon, maybe, but on a daily basis, definitely, I don't personally. I still feel that it does affect the hormones.
Yeah, yeah. I'd like to just add to that. Just knowing a handful of small farmers, organic farmers, and like the goat farmer, the big regulators, the huge companies, they can withstand the regulations. They can even take fines on. They actually have funds set aside just for the fines. Just like the pharmaceutical industry has huge funds just for when they get sued, because they know that they're going to get sued. But the little guy who's trying to do the right thing and do things raw, they're just overregulated. They're just it's just killing the competition of these little guys, which is a shame. I've seen it a lot, and especially the organic seal. We've talked about that before. If you in Pennsylvania, at least, if you live within 3 miles of a farm that sprays, you cannot consider your farm an organic farm.
Right.
That kind of thing. And the goat farmer, she was totally compliant with the USDA or whatever. They were hitting her with all these things. She had sent in all her paperwork, and they're still giving her a hard time
Yeah.
about the paperwork being sent in that she sent in. So they just harass these little people to death.
Yeah. And the one more thing I want to add about almond milk, it's great, but almonds are very high in oxalate. And when you soak them, when you make a milk out of them, those oxalates becomes more bioavailable to our body because their bioavailability is very strong. And for people who have osteopenia, osteoporosis, that would be a problem because oxalate would bind itself to the calcium. And that calcium would come either from parathyroid or from the bones. So people have to be very cautious on that side too.
Yeah.
It might affect the hormones and it might, build up like stones in the gallbladder or any other part of the body.
Real quick before we get to Bobby, Jane, I didn't say what oat milk was made of. I said glyphosate. It's the pesticide that they spray on the plant. You know, yeah, it's on almost everything. It's hard to get away from. It's anything that's oat, wheat, anything like that.
Oats are one of the more heavily sprayed
Yeah.
crops, and they're very absorbent.
Okay.
So
And they
yeah,
actually use it
Yeah.
to kill.
Thank
They actually use it to kill the wheat to harvest it. They so it's just crazy. It's like it's part
Yeah.
of the wheat process.
Yeah.
If you want to
Thank you.
substitute for plant-based milk, then my first choice would be coconut.
I've tried that, but actually I like making my own cashew.
Cashew.
So-
Cashew is mold driven, so gotta be cautious on that part too. It might build up the mold.
Yeah.
Yes, mold, yeah. So gotta be cautious on that part too. It's easy builds up mold and other things. And the cashew contain compound that poison ivy contains. So you're not gonna use poison ivy, right? So why? Yeah. So everything is, I just went down the rabbit hole. Yeah, I just
Yeah,
went
that's
down the rabbit hole to do my research. So
That's how I
it's like,
build my immunity to mold
yeah.
is eat my cashews.
Yeah, that's
yes.
something that a lot of people don't know. The harvesting process of cashews, why they're actually a more expensive nut generally than, the other standards on the market, is that the fruit that the nut is within is highly toxic. So you have to be
Great.
very, very careful while harvesting the cashew because that fruit and the flesh of the fruit is like very, very toxic.
So what are we
All
left with?
nuts.
What are we
As
left
I
with?
said, like a coconut becomes something that, would be my first choice. As of now, I couldn't find anything about coconut except like a higher sugar and carbohydrate levels. So that's the only downsides of it. But other than that, coconut would be the probably
Yeah,
my
I
first
never
choice.
had real coconut until I was in Costa Rica, and right there on the side of the road, the guy just chopped the top off, stuck a straw in. Oh, it was delicious. But
Yeah,
until then, I hated
right.
coconut, hated it.
What about hazelnuts? I've had hazelnut milk and that's pretty delicious.
I don't know. Can you make it
Yeah.
yourself?
You can make
Yeah,
anything. I mean,
you
I've
make
tried.
anything.
I tried all of them. Yeah, I tried any form of milk from
Oh yeah, I made the
any state.
Brazil nuts, the
Right. Yeah.
pistachios. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
You had the
Yeah.
machine, man. You were like ready to go.
The problem was nuts, they do get exposed to mold very fast. That's the problem. And the other thing are oxalate and lectins. So that's another problem. And it's very hard to absorb them. So the process is like, I would sprout them, I would like dehydrate them and then use them to lower the phytic acid, oxalate, like, phytates, everything. But still, it's hard on the digestive system.
Mhm.
Okay, well, Bobby's been very patient. She's had her hand up
Oh,
and
it's
down, up
silly.
and down, up and down.
Well, this is silly, but I just wanted to add to it that first of all, I believe in being balanced and just we have to just make the best choices we can. They're doing so much to our food. We have to be cautious. One thing I also discovered was Amish milk, by the way, in a glass bottle. And I've used that, but I don't stick with one thing. I kind of just vacillate between different things. And I don't know, Brazilian nuts, could you do milk with that? Because I know 1 or 2 Brazilian nuts a day is very beneficial. So I don't know if anyone has any thoughts on that.
I've done it.
You
You can,
who?
you can. I don't know if you should, but you can. Can confirm.
Okay.
Walnuts too.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Anything but what's out there, what they're bringing to the table and people are buying into. And again, my doctor has really advised me, and because of him, I'm in the shape I am in because I didn't do all the things that most people do. I was just so lucky in my life. I've been with him for 40 years. So,
Yeah. And Annette was mentioning that, the oat milks and the almond milks and whatnot, they have a lot of sugar added to them.
oh, yes. So
And,
I
and
have
you
a
buy.
lady that I talked to today who has turbo cancer, the size of a baseball. And
Mm,
her doctor has given her a protein drink with, I think it was 240 grams of sodium and 7 grams of sugar. We all know sugar is not good with cancer. But they told her to do that protein drink, but they wanted her to actually do a prescription of protein drink that is 2,000 a month.
$2,000 a month.
2,000 a month to do the prescription protein drink.
I better turn into the Incredible Hulk.
It's very discouraging and it's sad what they're doing and convincing people to do.
That's
And
incredible.
I've got a story later on if about someone with cancer. So anyway, go ahead.
awesome.
She's
Before the milk topic closes, I want to hear from Ethan. I would like for him to share his experience because he had a very interesting personal experience with milk.
Yeah, it's interesting to say the least, but it's also not interesting. It's also lifelong. So I was pretty much lactose intolerant from my inception. And if any of you get the chance to talk to my parents, they can tell you all about the nightmare that posed as a baby, but it never went away. So any kind of dairy, milk, cheese, pizza, whatever, it wasn't happening. And through various circumstances in my young adult life, which I won't get too heavy into here, my stomach just kept getting worse. And I never had a strong stomach. I never had a good stomach. And it kind of all stemmed from that, lactose intolerance. And it just got to the point to where I could barely like live. Like the stomach it was destroyed. And I had destroyed my own stomach, but it was just not getting better. It didn't matter what I ate, what I didn't eat, it didn't matter anything that I did. It was terrible. So I found a guy, and I want to preface this by reminding what Maya said is like it's incredibly interesting that a lot of people can all drink the same thing or eat the same thing, and everybody gets a different result. And some people that they don't like it, or it ends up doing more harm than good. And then some people it's like the magic bullet, which is what my case is. So he, I don't even know if I want to describe him as like a naturopath, but I guess it's the best way to describe him and his program. And I can't really give out information about him for you all to look because I don't really know if he's even doing it anymore. But he put me on a heavily restrictive diet. He said, eat 7 to 8 eggs a day, 1 pound of meat, nothing else. So it's basically like carnivore, keto, whatever that is. And for 2 weeks, I did only that. I lost like 10 pounds probably. And then he introduced raw dairy milk into my diet. And we had like a Zoom call because he's like, I need to prepare you for this. He's like, your stomach is just like the worst ever. And I said, I know. He said, so what you're going to do is every day you're going to have 8 ounces of milk sipping slowly at room temperature. He said, don't chug it or anything. And then one day a week, drink 2 liters of raw milk and nothing else. No food, nothing solid, and try to drink as little of water as you can. He called it a raw milk fast, right? So I did that. So he said, like, whenever you're hungry, just go drink some milk. And I said, okay. So I did that. And for the next 3 months, every morning after, I was like 3 pounds lighter after each one of those days. And probably after 2 months of doing that routine, my stomach was completely fixed, like like it rebuilt my biome or whatever. And I can't even describe to you when I say that my stomach was completely fixed. I mean, I could literally have eaten anything that I wanted, and my stomach was absolutely fine. And I did a test drive with some foods that I can't recommend on this call because they were unhealthy foods, but I really wanted to test, and I was like, how well did this actually work? And I'm telling you, I can eat anything to this day because I still drink raw milk every day if I can, but I make sure to get it at least once every 2 weeks because when I don't and I stop drinking it for an extended period of time, I feel some of those symptoms come back, but it's not like full force. But I'm telling you, I can eat anything that I want now. So it's incredibly interesting again that what can be so beneficial for one person, it can be detrimental for another. But that's my health journey with raw milk.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. And there's someone else that had a similar-ish experience in going from entirely lactose intolerant, if he even thought about milk, he was having stomach aches, to recently, well, he'll tell you the story himself. For those that don't know, Dave Frank is often on these calls. He doesn't speak much on the calls, but that is my father, and I welcome him now if he's able to unmute himself to share a bit about his experience going from lactose intolerant to eventually having a cancer experience of his own to where he's at with his gut health now and how he got there.
Yeah. You hear me okay?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay. Yeah, I basically was lactose intolerant all my life and didn't know what it was and just always had stomach aches all the time and ate ice cream and drank milk, etc. And it wasn't until I watched an exercise program and they identified it. Uh, and I was lactose intolerant. Later found out there was a pill I could take regularly that would help me with it. And at a certain point before my cancer diagnosis, I started to eat healthy. And that was a problem in itself because that changeover, as I'm sure everybody knows, is not pleasant. And right after I went through that changeover was when I was diagnosed with colon cancer. Before it all started, like I said, I had started the diet change. And once I had my colon taken care of medically, and they removed 9 inches of my colon, and I had a fresh start, I was already into the healthiness of eating properly. Never really drank the milk. I drank the almond milk, and I've since tried the raw milk, and I can drink it no problem. And I found I almost anything. Um, and my stomach doesn't have the issue with it anymore because my digestive system is so much healthier due to what I'm putting into it, how I'm eating, the clothes I'm wearing. The whole round picture has made something I couldn't do before possible now. And it's a whole different way of living. It's very tough to change the diet, and it's well worth it. When I did drink the raw milk, I had a slight discomfort. That just may have been psychosomatic. I don't know, because so many years of stomach issues, but it's possible to change all that. And, it was through the help of Zach that I was able to do that without, fortunate enough that I really didn't have to go to the doctor, and except for the surgery, and was able to benefit and change my life greatly.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. It's a really great example and a case study that I've been able to observe firsthand of, having a lifelong of, taking pills every single day, the lactose intolerance suppression pills, whatever, digestive advantage they were called. I mean, I used to watch him take that every single day. And now through diet and lifestyle changes, his gut is repaired to the point where he doesn't have to do that. And I mean, yeah, it's a great inspirational story. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
All
Do you
right.
know if those pills were like I don't know, like Prilosec, were they proton pump inhibitors?
It
Do you have
was
any?
called
It
digestive
was,
advantage.
digestive advantage. They now have several different versions. This was a lactose defense formula. And
Hmm.
I got to tell you, it worked for me the first time I took it. You have to take it 3 times, twice a day to build it up in your system. And then you could just eat regularly. I did have half a pie, a pizza pie. It was delicious. I had no repercussions. And that was so amazing. And now I haven't eaten pizza and I can't remember, so it doesn't matter. But you understand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. I was wondering if it was a proton pump inhibitor because they come with a slew of problems for sure.
Yeah, it seems to be like a bunch of different stuff, some, probiotics and different things in there. I'll
Nah,
look up
it's
the ingredient.
it's a supplement, not a drug.
Was it prescription, Dad? I forget.
No, no, no.
Oh,
I
it was
heard
just over
about
the
it when
counter.
I was driving. I had to be driving at a time in a vehicle that only had an AM radio, and happened to be listening to Rush Limbaugh, and a commercial for him brought it up. This was probably 20 plus years ago, easily more. And I gave it a shot because I had nothing to lose, and it worked. I've taken the ones where you're supposed to take a couple of hours before eating it or a half hour before digesting something with milk. And for me, my reaction would be 20 minutes, a half an hour. I'm breaking out in sweat with any dairy product. All that did was buffer it 2 or 3 hours down the road. Same result. So
Hmm.
I didn't take that either.
Cool. Yeah, I'm looking up some ingredients now. You got, yeah, some probiotics, lactase, you got bacillus coagulans, then some fillers and thickeners and binders and sweeteners. So Definitely some not so good stuff in there too.
Well, I'm sure that because we haven't said it like every 5 minutes, that we're gonna get a bunch of haters on social media saying, "Oh, it's bad if you have cancer." Well, we discussed that, so just listen to the whole thing.
Yeah.
We get positive and negative. We've been getting so many responses lately. It's incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Any other thoughts on the milk topic? Bobby, you
Bobby's
got a
got
hand up.
Bobby.
Bobby.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to add one little thing. I've discovered, and I do a very high quality colostrum.
Right.
And I'm
That's good.
still studying that, but it has made such a difference in my life. So I just want to just put that out there. Colostrum, check it out.
I've
So
heard
let's
a lot of
so
good
let's
stuff about colostrum.
Oh, yeah,
yep.
and yes, but you got to be careful, you know.
Right. Because you can get colostrum from the cow hide, as well. So it's where it comes from in the cow.
The best brand is Armra, Colostrum Armra. It's expensive, but it's a good brand, and but it does contain lactose. But there's other brand from, I don't remember which brand. Oh, I do. I don't, can I say the brands or no?
Yeah, you can say the
Yeah.
brand. You got,
So
you got-
from Microbiome Lab, it does not contain lactose. It's very well digestible.
yeah. I mean, we're not benefiting from it in any way.
No, just saying.
Yeah, yeah. That's what your personal.
Yeah. I just experienced those two in my family, so I know. Because I always look for the best brand out there. So those are the ones we tried. I mean, we tried a few of them, but those are two that stood out.
Awesome. So in the course of our conversation, we had a couple more friends join us. So Mr. David Witherspoon or Miss Evelyn Steptoe, we do welcome you to grab the mic if you have any questions, comments, or anything else that's on your mind that you'd like to share or like the group to go over. We welcome you to take the floor. I see David's on the mic.
Finally, yes, and I'm just observing and listening. The milk thing has been a long process because one of my um, medical natural doctors always said the milk has a cancer-causing substance in it, casein, and
Yep.
he says stay away from it. So that's my thing on milk. Whatever the cow got, you got it. So
That's true. Yeah, it's certainly a factor to consider in what's going into that cow. So if you are going to be drinking milk, whether you have cancer or not, that's why it's always prudent to source the cleanest you possibly can and the most trustworthy that you can. It's a great point.
Yep. It seems like
and
everything goes back to knowing your farmer and getting back to the basics and you know, knowing what
yeah,
your
and on
cow's
the
eating and
almond milk,
yep.
he
Good,
used
Dave.
to make his own almond milk, and his ninja, he says, soak the almonds, put the almonds in there with some coconut water, and make his own almond milk. Yeah, because he lives upstate Washington State on the island, so and he has a bee farm, so he put a little of that honey in there. So great talk tonight. Glad to be back.
Awesome. And then remind us what is your name again? You don't sound like a David.
No, it's David Witherspoon. It's Dr. David Witherspoon,
Is
right?
it?
David, are you a
No,
doctor?
I'm not a doctor yet. Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
I missed last week. I wanted to be on because you guys were talking frequency and how did it help you. And that's what I do, frequency medicine.
Ah, very interesting. Yep, that's actually I think probably on the list of topics. Did we talk about that last week? No. Okay. I get confused. I talk to so many people. You're breaking up, Dave.
Okay, I'm in the store. All right.
Oh, he's back on mute. Okay.
All right.
The Alvin?
Evelyn, you're welcome to unmute if there's anything on the top of your mind that you'd like to share, like to ask. The floor is yours.
Good evening. Thank you. When I got colon cancer, which has now metastasized to my lung, my doctor took me off of regular milk and put me on almond milk. But I really don't drink a lot of milk at all. I basically maybe make pancakes with the almond milk or cornbread or soup, but I'm not a big milk drinker at all. Before I had the cancer, uh, and especially since I have got the colon cancer in 2019 when I was diagnosed. So and I'm still not a big milk drinker at all. It's been a while since I really had a glass of milk. It's either make the cornbread with it or, mixing it with something so that I can say that I'm getting some type of vitamin D. Plus, I do take a vitamin D tablet every day. So it's interesting to hear them talk about the different milks and how it affects them. So thank you for letting me share.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you for speaking up. We always
Yeah,
like
thank you for
listening to
joining us. It sounds like your voice is on the up and up. You sound a bit better than last week, so that's good to hear. And we wish
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. I never know how it's going to be from morning to morning, day to day, because with the chemo, if I touch, wash my hand, eat anything cold or drink anything cold, there goes my voice. It's one of the
Mm.
side effects of the chemo. Um, I was on Xeloda, but it had so many effects from it that I had to be taken off of the Xeloda. And so now I have a chemo pack that I'm on for this week. And hopefully in a couple of weeks, I can have the CAT scan to see if I can come off of the chemo.
Well, good luck to you.
Thank
All
you.
the best. Yeah, prayers are with you for sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, with that said, we have around 6 minutes to the top of the hour. If there's any other additional topics or quick comments or questions or anything that would be like to be raised to the group, we do have some time to go over another topic briefly.
Well, in the pasteurized milk category, I know that, or I learned that when you get low fat, 1%, 2%, 1% low fat, it's actually just goes through a process where the fat molecules just get reduced in size. They're actually they didn't go away, and it's easier for them to get into your bloodstream. It's just something I've heard over the years. Um, Maybe it's misinformation, but
Interesting. I've never heard of that. You always
yeah,
just
yeah,
assume that it's like an old school, they skim the fat off the top process, but you're
yeah,
saying
yeah, right there. They just add
there's
water to them or something.
that's
It's gonna,
you'd like
it's
to
gonna,
think that, but it's a more chemical process than that. That's crazy. That's
yeah.
crazy.
So maybe it's something to look into because
So
people think they're getting the benefit of a low fat product and they're actually not. It's actually worse for them. So they might as well just drink good old organic whole milk or raw milk if they can.
wow, that's very fascinating. So the more whole,
Like 50,
the better.
whether
All right. We have a hand up from Jane.
I have a question about the coconut milk. Sometimes I see chunks of coconut in the store. If I buy coconut milk, I don't like it, but to make it my own, I see chunks of coconut. Can I make it from that?
The only coconut you can use to make milk is brown coconut. You gotta scoop the meat out, blend it in with water, and strain it. That's the way you can make them. Yeah.
Ground coconut?
No, the brown
Like
brown
a
coconut.
full coconut. A full
Yeah.
coconut. That's not.
The whole coconut or brown coconut.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
But
I have chunks of that.
So chunks of coconut, you always have to look at the ingredients because they put chemicals in them to preserve it.
Oh, right.
If
Okay.
it says if it says just the coconut meat, frozen coconut meat, that's fine. I mean, I don't think so. You can make a milk out of young coconut because that's young coconut milk. But you can make yogurt though with it. I usually made yogurt with like young coconut.
So
But
I think it'll depend on the process that you're using.
yeah.
Because I did look up on the Almond Cow website, which is that blender that I was mentioning before that's made to make plant milks. And they do have some ingredients using coconut shreds. And they say that coconut meat or flakes work as well. But of course,
Yeah, flakes also do work. I made milk from everything. So
yeah.
I tried everything. Flakes do work. If you have a Vitamix blender, you have to have a high, speed blender. So if you have those, you can blend in and just strain it. You can make your coconut milk like that too.
Yeah.
From dry shred coconuts.
Okay, thank you.
And we had a question in the comment section saying, what about 70% chocolate? Well, that's something a bit different. So the percentages of chocolate are in relation to the cacao content in the chocolate. So it's not necessarily a measure. I guess it is an inverse measure of the dairy. The higher the percentage, the less other stuff there is in the chocolate. But it's not necessarily the same as what Carl was mentioning with the percentages of fat in milk. Naturally, the higher percentage cacao chocolate content will mean that there's less other stuff, which includes less dairy and less fat, but it's not necessarily like a chemical thing like we were saying. What'd you say, Carl?
The more cacao, the better.
Better for you, but the worst tasting.
Like dark chocolate, is good.
I'm gonna probably destroy everyone's feeling right now if I
Oh,
would
no,
say
chocolate.
if
not
I would
chocolate.
say
No,
yeah.
do it.
Go
Yeah,
Go for it.
no, everyone is gonna get so disappointed. I'm very disappointed that chocolate are very high in oxalate. That's number one. Number two, chocolate are very high in mold also. So you have to if you're getting a chocolate, it has to be tested for mold. And oxalate levels, you cannot take it out, but I mean, always be mindful in limitations because chocolate is the hardest thing for me to give up. I still like it, but
I don't know if I
I'm
can
always eat a small dose of it. Particularly for people who have a digestive issue, those oxalates are a problem.
So what do you think about this, Maya? So something I've been doing as my snack because I have a very sweet tooth. I have Greek yogurt, and to have like a little bit of like a bite to it, I have 100% cacao chips. So they're not chocolate chips.
Cacao nibs, yeah,
They're
cacao nibs.
100% cacao nibs.
Yeah.
But sometimes I think like, am I eating too many of those? Like so.
No, I do. I put it about a tablespoon also. Like
I'm
I
probably
would put
doing
it
more than that.
Okay. So I try to hold it off to about tablespoon, or if I do eat like a bar, it would be like 1 or 2 pieces of bar. I mean, it's hard to stay away because chocolate is so addictive. I just want to say it's very high. If you do it every day and a lot, then it's gonna affect the digestive system. It's gonna affect the kidneys. Sadly, but it's true. Yeah, this is all in what's her name is Sally Norton's book. It's called Toxic Superfood. It's a great book to read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we got some latecomers on the call. We're just about done.
Yeah, we had one that came and left, but we do have Melody Christiansen on the call. As a reminder, we do get started at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that was approximately 1 hour ago. But while we are here and everyone else's inquiries have been addressed, we do welcome you to grab the mic, Melody. And if there's any questions that you have for the groups, any topics, or anything else on your mind, we do welcome you to share.
And nice picture, by the way.
And if not, that's okay. But we do
It
encourage you.
might just be on mute.
I'll press the ask to unmute button. So the floor is open for Miss Melody to grab the mic and let us know what's on her mind as we finish up our call here. And if not, that's okay too. We'll address some of these comments that are coming in, and then we will go ahead and close on out. So Marinette mentions, not sure if it was mentioned, but chocolate can be high in heavy metals. I hear that's true.
No, everybody's attacking chocolate.
Oh, you're unmuted, but we can't hear you.
I don't. Marionette.
Yeah.
Annette, I mean. Yeah.
I'm just gonna take it off of.
There you go.
Yeah, that
Maybe now.
works.
These must be broken or something. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, chocolate is like my absolute favorite thing. And then I started reading about the heavy metals that they're starting to find in chocolate. And there's certain brands that are some of our favorites that they are very high in heavy metals. So just kind of be on the lookout when you're eating chocolate. Maybe check it out beforehand and see if they are one of the brands that has high heavy metals in them or not.
I feel like there's validity to some of these things, but also I feel like heavy metals is one of the things that gets used to take down like good companies. I feel like there's some really good things out there that they'll just say heavy metals and then bam, shut it down. But there are different forms of different elements of different metals, and some are dangerous, some are not. And I think they get conflated, and I don't know.
So I know in chocolate specifically, it's lead that they're concerned about, and then there's one other metal that's with it. So it's not like one of the ones that are more beneficial for us to really have in our body, but it's ones that can lead to like neurotoxicity and other things in your body.
Yeah.
It's always good. Yeah, good. Sorry. I said it's always good to get like on the labels third-party verified. You know, they do come, even cacao. I always buy cacao that it says like tested for mold, for example, and you know, third-party verified for metals, have like lead and other metals. So they're a bit pricey, but it's there, it's available.
Yeah. And so Gretchen,
you're right, though, like they do
start a list of these things in another category in the Telegram chat, so we all know what to eat and buy.
I always think like, to what extent we have to like, you know, eliminate the food from our diet. It's just crazy, right?
It is. Sometimes it can be a lot. And it's like, is it even realistic that we can like get rid of, you know, as many of these things as we can, which I mean, as many of us know, and lots of us as coaches, that we can make those changes. It is realistic. It's just you got to do some digging and seeing.
Yeah, there's always, you know, a correspondence with effort put into something and results that you get out of it, right? And I think it is also important not to freak ourselves out about trying to avoid every last toxin in this day and age that they are just everywhere. And rather than getting paralyzed by that or just shying away and saying and giving up and saying, oh, well, I don't care, I'm just going to eat anything. No, I think there's a middle ground where you can, over time, make advances in your choices and continue to get better and know better and do better at a rate that is reasonable and not, you know, overly crazy. It's certainly a line to walk.
It's good advice, especially in social settings. Like, you know, if you go over people's houses for dinner or you go out to dinner, totally just turn my brain off. All the
Yeah.
things I know, and then I eat, and sometimes I pay for it, and sometimes I don't.
Yeah, I've seen
Sometimes
Carl walk out on a bill many times. No, I'm kidding. He didn't mean that. He didn't mean that.
I pick up the bill.
No, Carl is an extremely generous man. That was obviously a joke on a
Yeah.
fun.
No, but
Uh,
definitely like just recently I went out to dinner. It was a Christmas dinner for a company, and it was at a nice Italian restaurant, and I paid for it for like 2 days. Just and I picked something on the menu that I actually had made at home and had leftovers sitting in the refrigerator, and I was like, oh well, I'll try theirs, and mine was actually better.
yeah. There's
And
certain
it didn't
things
and it didn't make me sick.
there's certain things I'll, participate in to be social sometimes, and certain things where I do draw a hard line, and it's sometimes that line changes a little bit, it moves around a little bit. I don't know. If I'm at like a family thing and I see someone put something in a microwave right in front of me, that's
Yeah,
just
no, that's a no-go.
that's out. But chances are they're probably cooking their stuff in Teflon pans, and that just is what it is at that point.
Yeah.
But
And
that's
using,
why
yeah,
Yeah, that's why you just gotta
Yeah,
cut, you know,
seed
sometimes.
oils and everything else,
seed
right?
oils, yeah,
Yeah, you totally have to turn your brain off. You can't, you won't even have a good time.
yeah. It is
yeah.
so interesting how fast our body give us a sign when something goes wrong,
Oh yeah.
almost immediately, right?
It's
And
like
that,
I was
right,
leaving the restaurant and I already knew.
right. And that's what I always tell my clients, pay attention with the sign of your body. Always pay attention because it would give you a sign, right?
Gretchen,
Yeah.
you're so funny.
Gretchen was saying it was hard to eat out with Susan Silverstein because of her
It was. I
standards.
mean, she was so particular. But
Yeah.
and that's the kind of thing, you go out with vegans or vegetarians and whatever, and they're just horrible to be with in public.
Oh, Jesus.
Be a problem. No, it's serious. Just if you're going to go out and be social, then be social. If you're not going to be that way, then don't go out.
Yeah.
Or go out with your own kind. I don't know what to say. It's just it's just hard to eat with certain people.
Yeah.
I'm that certain person. I am that
Yeah,
certain
yeah,
person.
yeah. So extra reminder that when we see you down in Florida, we'll just avoid you a little bit. Now,
Shucks.
down in Florida, we're going to have wonderful meals made for us, catered, organic, and personal chefs at the Annie Appleseed event. You'll love it. It's all good food, and you'll be able to totally eat everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I'm looking
Did
forward to eating with you, by the way.
What'd you say?
I said I'm looking forward to eating with the night and all the coaches.
Yeah. We do welcome all of our coaches, anyone on the call, to join us down at the Annie Appleseed Conference going on in February. Wow, that's next month already. Contact us if you have any questions about that or need some information. We do encourage you to get tickets soon if you do want to go and have not booked yet, because they sell out. The hotels in the area also sell out. So act with speed, and we hope to see you there. If you're going to be there, let us know. We'll be sure to look out for you. And yeah. Another great call, everybody. We touched on a good range of topics, a good variety of things, some daily actionables, some overall mindset things, some specifics about certain products, all good stuff. I hope everyone that had a question did put it out to the group. If not, we do welcome you to come back next week. We had some friends come and go without saying a thing. Hopefully they had a good time in their short time here. But with that said, I bid you adieu. For our friends that are watching this in social media, whether it is right now or catching the replay, if you'd like to join us next time on the call, you can do that by going to BeatCancer.org and clicking on the weekly call button right at the top of the website. If you're on mobile, you'll have to click a little menu. It has 3 lines on it, and you'll see the weekly call button. There is a new feature for anyone on this call or catching the replay that you can submit a question or comment or anything you'd like to talk about on the call right on that same page that I'm talking about, the weekly call button. We're testing out that feature, so use it. And yeah, thank you all for joining us. We hope you had a wonderful time, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
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 Bye.